It doesn't seem like it today with a bit of ice in the forecast here at the Proving Grounds too, and a lot of nasty weather throughout the Whitetails range, but it's almost time to use prescribed fire to improve wildlife habitat. I like to use the word prescribed fire. Some people use controlled fire, but I kind of don't like the word controlled because there's a chance prescribed fire could get out. It's very rare. And what makes that happen so safely is the #1 thing you need when using prescribed fire. And that's not a particular tool or a bulldozer or anything like that. That's a plan. When we're doing prescribed fire, there are several variables. Weather, which is wind, speed, and direction, humidity, how high the smoke is going to rise, is it going to settle in that area. There are a lot of variables, and if these things aren't ringing with you, I strongly suggest you take a prescribed fire class. There are several states that have really good classes aimed at helping people learn to conduct prescribed fire safely. Missouri has it, South Carolina has it. A lot of states have that. And I strongly suggest if fire is a new tool to you or you have some anxiety about using fire, you attend a high-quality class. Once you feel comfortable with that, I think it's best to join some buddies or an organization and be a participant on a fire before you just go out and start fire on your own property. We have a lot of people come join us when we're doing a fire here at the Proving Grounds too. We, just tell them, hey, walk behind us, just watch what we're doing. We may have you carry a blower or something like that, but we're not gonna send you down a line by yourself and let you light fire. I think watching and observing, kind of an apprentice, if you will, is still the best way to learn.
You don't want to get one 50 yards ahead of the other, then you get a head fire backing around. But
you got all that on your belt and you're thinking, okay, I'm gonna use prescribed fire on my land or my friend's land, my relative's land to improve some habitat. Here's some basic tools. We use drip torches to ignite the fire. You could theoretically walk around with matches, but if you're doing much of a fire, that's gonna take a lot of matches and that's just not reliable. Where a drip torch is a container that has a complete circle in the neck, so it meters the amount of fuel coming out in a safe way so fire can't jump back down the fuel tank, because that would be a bomb. And then we use the right mixture of diesel fuel and gasoline. Diesel doesn't ignite as easy as gas. If you had pure gas, you had all that vapor out there, it'd be super dangerous. So again, you need to know all these things before you ever get into the field.
you just got to drip it under these conditions. You just barely got to drip it, and it'll take off burning.
Igniting the fire is the easy part. Some people say the fun part. You need to be able to control the fire. So that starts even before you start igniting the fire and building good fire breaks. Fire breaks are simply an area where all fuel is removed. It would stop a fire coming toward that. That may be an interior road or a creek that doesn't have debris across it or limbs or logs across it, something where there is no fuel. We create most of our fire breaks. We try to use existing roads where we can, or a green food plot or something, but we're in steep, hilly country. It's pretty rocky, so we use backpack blowers. We got some steel backpack blowers, and we blow all the leaves out of the way, sticks, limbs, debris, whatever. If it's a grassy area, we weed eat it down to the ground. We don't want tall grass, and the most important thing I believe about a fire break is make sure it 100% contains the area. There's a proverb that says fire is never satisfied, and that's true. You know, it's gonna burn until the conditions won't allow it to burn or it runs out of fuel. So you've got to have a fire break completely enclosing, surrounding the area you wish to treat with fire. In the South, it's common for people to quote-unquote plow fire breaks. You usually use a small dozer like a 350 or 450 with a deep fire plow. And that certainly can remove all the fuel out of the way, but there's much topography, boy, that can leave an erosion ditch. Water's gonna build up momentum going downhill in that plow line, or someone's gonna stumble in it. It's tough to drag deer across. So I like to not use those deep fire plows unless it's really necessary. I'd rather just blow the fuel out of the way, hand rake it out of the way. Some people have big blowers that fit on the back of a tractor and they're PTO driven, like you may have seen using to blow leaves and stuff off golf courses.
Growing Deer is brought to you by Bass Pro Shops and Cabela's. Also by Green Cover Food Plots, Winchester, Moultrie Mobile, Steel, Fleet Outdoor Apparel, Morel Targets, Fourth Arrow, Scorpion Venom Archery, Case IH Tractors, Ward Laboratories, Burris Optics, G5 Broadheads, Prime Bows, and Redneck Hunting Blinds.
You've taken care of the land, but you want to take care of yourself. It's important to wear the appropriate clothing for burning fire. We wear a lot of Nomex clothing. That's fire retardant clothing. I won't say it's fireproof, but it certainly doesn't burn very easily. But most times when you're doing prescribed fire, you're not having giant flame height, and hopefully it's not moving that fast. A lot of people wear really heavy blue jeans and leather boots. What is a real no-no is synthetic clothing. Of course, a lot of synthetic clothing is made out of petroleum products. So you don't want something that's that easy to ignite against your skin or on your feet. You might step in a fire or step where a stump post burn. It's real hot down there. So I like to wear a pretty heavy duty, mainly leather boot, heavy jeans, or my Nomex pants. I like to wear a Nomex shirt or a cotton shirt. I don't want a shirt that's got a big decal on there or, a bunch of print on there, because again, that's usually very flammable. One thing you really want is leather gloves. You don't want some of the nice work gloves that are made out of, again, synthetic material that could ignite easy, because your hand is certainly going to be grabbing logs, moving out of the way, or carrying that drip torch. Heavy gloves is a necessity for working on fire. You kind of took care of your body. You need to be able to communicate with everyone else. We don't like using cell phones, because if you need help quick, you don't have to take time to dial or they don't hear. We all have radios. We happen to have Motorola radios that are a little bit better than just a walkie-talkie thing, because through the hills and hollers or vegetation, the reach of those can be fairly small. So we like a radio that can certainly cover more than the area we wish to burn. And everyone on the fire has a radio, so there's good communication. If you hit that button, everyone hears the same message. We use a radio vest. You've probably seen them if you've watched our videos about fire. Fits right here, so you're not holding the radio, shoving it in a pocket. You can lose that, and those radios are expensive. Radio vest holds it in place, and you just simply key the mic and talk right here. You're never far away from your communication device.
Yeah, copy that.
This may go without saying, but I always wear a really good, thick, sturdy hat, usually the big floppy hats you see me wearing, because there's going to be ambers flying, or a big bill hat. If you're going in smoke, you can kind of tilt that down and get through a few steps of smoke without it really going in your eyes. And speaking of smoke, when you're working the fire, you don't want to put yourself in a position to be inhaling a lot of smoke. That's going to get in your lungs. Some people are allergic to wood smoke of certain species from certain species of wood, but it really slows down. It reduces your oxygen capacity and slows you down, robs you of a lot of energy. And you need a lot of energy on a fire. So you want to stay out of smoke. And where I see a lot of new people to fire mess up is you're working a fire line, you just maybe lit a fire right here in front of me and the wind's blowing this way. You're setting a backing fire. Well, you light a little bit, then you can just really step across the fire and look and make sure it doesn't jump the fire line. You don't have to stand back in the smoke. You're just a step or two away, but you're on the upwind side, so the smoke is not going in your face. We often wear glasses or sunglasses. That will help shield some of that debris from your eyes, of course. If you're going to be working after dark, make sure you have some clear glasses, safety glasses, your prescription glasses to wear, or you'll be limited by your vision. You'll be able to see right next to the fire, but when you turn away, things will get very dark. Part of this preparation, we like to do it when we're building a fire line, is you want to look for snags. You want to look for dead wood standing anywhere close enough to the fire line that it could, if it caught on fire, it could fall across the fire line and cause issues, or a tall tree that maybe is hollow and that fire starts chimneying up it, it can throw sparks over the fire line and set a fire in an area you don't want to burn. If that happens, of course, you're chasing what's now a wildfire, not a prescribed fire. It's burning an area you did not prescribe to burn. So in our area, a bunch of hardwoods, I would say snags is our #1 issue. You got, your glasses on, your safety glasses on, hearing protection on, a big steel backpack blower, and you're blowing debris out of the way, making a fire line. You got to remember to look up and look around and make sure there's not dead snags right inside that fire line. Easy to miss, and then you set a fire and they catch on fire. It's so much easier to blow the debris around from the bottom of the tree than have to fell it while it's on fire. We always have a couple of chainsaws with us on our fires, because if a snag catches on fire, you don't have to run back to the shop. You want to cut it down before it's fully engulfed in flame and really dangerous to fail. So we like those chainsaws to have a sharp blade on them. They're already fueled up, and we usually start them before the fire starts. Now, with the new technology, with the steel saws, those big batteries, those battery-powered saws are very strong and about perfect for a fire. You're cutting 1 or 2 trees. You're not out there making firewood all day. And man, those battery-powered saws start instantly. You don't have to worry about pulling after a long day of burning, and you can fell that tree. I'm looking forward to having that resource on our fire line this spring. I said we're about in fire season. Actually, you can burn year-round if the conditions allow. And when you burn at different types of year, you get different vegetative responses. For example, burning during the growing season when the leaves are out and fully green usually does a bit better job of killing unwanted hardwood saplings. But it can be difficult to burn at that time of year because the humidity is usually higher and there's more shade. Dormant season fires don't seem to be quite as effective at killing unwanted hardwood saplings because all that sap or their energy is down in the root system. That's how they survive the winter. And you may girdle the top of that tree, the woody part, with the fire, the heat from the fire, but it's just going to send up more sprouts from that root system. So we burn both times a year. We'll start burning now once the weather conditions allow, and then we hope to do some burns during August, July or August or so on different units, depending on our mission for each unit. This is just a quick summary because it's that time of year to be thinking about it, to encourage you to consider using this extremely natural and valuable tool to improve wildlife habitat and reduce fuel, so if there is a wildfire, it's not near as extensive. And with that, I want to share one last thing. You've probably seen on news reports these major raging fires out in California or western state. And you think, boy, if I burned 5 acres on Granny's place, I could burn down the whole state. Well, that's pretty unlikely. I want you to be safe, but anywhere, from Missouri east, the humidity levels are almost always so much higher than they are out west that we more worry about getting a fire to carry usually than for that fire to just be raging out of control. And if you've done your homework, you know the weather conditions you want, you're not burning when the wind speed's too high or the humidity's too low, you have really well-prepared fire breaks, you have that plan, chances of something going wrong are always there, but they're very minimal. There's a lot about fire. I hope you learn more about fire, and even more importantly, I hope you take the time to enjoy creation. Working a fire can be really fun, and watching how stuff responds. I often see turkeys and deer feeding right amongst the fire. You would think that's not the case, but I've seen that so many times because they have adapted to a very natural system, and fire is part of that natural system. But even more important than learning these tools to improve wildlife habitat is learning tools to improve our lives. And the best way to do that, of course, is to study the Creator's Word and apply it to our lives. Thanks for watching Growing Deer.